Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this one here, I want to talk about The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, and I really wanted to focus more on, I guess, a lot of the newer audience here that will actually be discovering The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live for the first time, because it seems like a lot of people are going to be watching this show on Netflix because it just premiered on Netflix, obviously in the US, and so if you haven't watched it yet, if you've been waiting to watch it, you actually can now, because I know a lot of people that have been wanting to watch this. Like, when it was airing last year, like, a lot of people wanted to watch it, but like they had Netflix, they never had AMC Plus, and so now I can definitely see them watching it, and that's really good for The Walking Dead. It really is, really, very good for The Walking Dead, and I can imagine after you watch The Ones Who Live, you're going to want a season 2 of this show, right? And so, yeah, I want to talk about that, talk about where The Walking Dead is just overall, like just sort of in general, because there could be a lot of people who are watching The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live for the very first time who maybe see this video and are wondering, like, what's going on with The Walking Dead? Because I know it ended a couple of years ago, so like where are things at right now? Because obviously the ending of The Walking Dead, it wasn't really that conclusive, right? There were characters everywhere. Well, I'm going to talk about all of that here, talk about the future and everything and all of that. So make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. And also definitely go follow me on Twitch. I have been streaming for the last like week or so, and my schedule right now I've been trying to figure out, but I've been streaming for like an hour a day or a little bit more. It depends. And I'm streaming old school games. I'll be doing the Walking Dead games and everything. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So the link for that should be in the description of this video. The channel name is Appetite for the Dead. And yeah, so The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live is on Netflix now. It is officially on Netflix. The Walking Dead Dead City should be on Netflix as well. I don't know if it actually is. I've heard a lot of complaints saying that it's not. So I don't know if they're holding off on that for a little bit, or maybe it is now. Maybe it was just for a couple of people. But I know that The Walking Dead Dead City and The Ones Who Live, I'm pretty sure anyways, were supposed to be on Netflix at the same time. And so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, as of right now, obviously The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live is for sure on Netflix. And, in terms of a reaction to that, I think that it's absolutely incredible. Like, we don't know how much The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon benefited from people watching it on Netflix, like for season 1. I know that with The Walking Dead, like, that was the thing, with the original show was, like, there were the numbers that were on cable and like AMC Plus, but in terms of people watching the show on Netflix, like, it always had very, very high ratings. There was one year where it was still in the top 10. That might have been like the last year that it aired, like in 2022. I could be wrong, but there was a year there where, it was still in the top 10. And so, to me, I think that's just kind of the thing with The Walking Dead right now, is sort of discovering it. Like, obviously it's always been on AMC, like on cable. So I think a lot of people go there to watch it, but the problem with that is, like, I mean, people don't really have cable anymore, right? So they'll have streaming services like Netflix or like Prime Video, right? And so on Prime Video, you can get it. Like, that's where I watch it anyways. I watch all the spinoffs that way. Sometimes I go back and forth. It really depends. But I saw Netflix actually post something on Twitter, or I guess X now. I keep calling it Twitter, but I know it's X. It's going to be confusing for a little bit, honestly. I don't know if I'll ever get used to it because it's always been Twitter to me. But yeah, sorry, X. They posted something that is pretty spoilery. I guess I don't really want to talk about it in case you haven't actually seen the scene yet and you're watching this for the first time, but they actually posted something that was very, very spoilery that if you haven't watched The Walking Dead, it's kind of a big deal to actually see this scene. Like, actually, the thing is about it, though, is when you look at the actual engagement of the post here, like, it's absolutely insane. The numbers are actually pretty crazy. So I think to actually, for a lot of people to see just this in general, it's going to create a lot of excitement, especially when you're actually like reading the comments and people are asking like, whoa, can I just start watching this right now? This and that. Like, you see a lot of comments on this. Someone says, which season is this, right? Like, there's quite a bit of a story here. There's actually quite a bit going on here. So yeah, to celebrate The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, now on Netflix, and I'll be rewatching this. Like, I haven't honestly rewatched anything from The Ones Who Live since it came out, but for this, I'll rewatch it. And what's funny about it is I actually have the poster on my right. Like, that really does show, honestly, how much excitement I had for The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, and it really was more in how they handled it. Like, I know for Daryl Dixon season 3, I'll have a lot more excitement for that, especially for Dead City season 2. I can't wait for the poster for that, but for Daryl Dixon season 2 specifically, I think it's because they called it the Book of Carol. I wasn't a fan of the name. And the trailer and all the teasers and stuff just took forever to come out. Like, honestly, I had a hard time getting excited for that show. I really did. So that's why I never really updated the poster. I didn't really want any of the posters. Like, the posters looked really incredible, but I wanted a poster with Daryl and Carol on it. I didn't want to have to choose one. And so I just didn't end up getting a poster. And so I hope for Dead City that Maggie and Negan are going to be, on a poster, because I will get it. I will update it here because it does need to be updated. Like, I've had The Ones Who Live Here for so long, and it's nice and all. I really like this poster, but it would be really nice to have a Dead City one. And I wonder if they're going to go more with like a, I don't know, like a bluer color, because Dead City has been doing that for season 1, but they could change that. So you're probably wondering, right? Like, The Walking Dead obviously ended a couple of years ago. Maybe you watched that, and maybe right now you're watching The Ones Who Live, or maybe you just finished it the other day, because it's only like 4 to 6 hours, right, in total. Easy to like binge watch all of that. So is there going to be a season 2, or what's happening with that? I will say, as of right now, there's no like complete confirmation, but it's not like, no, it's not happening. In terms of a season 2 or a new series, that's sort of the issue. Like, you have to ask the question more of, are we going to see Rick and Michonne again, right? So in terms of that, it seems very, very likely. It's just we don't know if it's going to be a new series or a season 2, or like what they're going to do there. Are the characters going to show up in the other spinoffs? Like, that's sort of what, we're figuring out right now. Andrew Lincoln and Denai Guerrera and Scott Gimple, like especially Scott Gimple, really wants to do this next story. Andrew Lincoln, he seems really, really interested in it. He even talked about it like a couple of months after the show aired, saying he would like to bring Rick into a simplistic survival horror story again, go back to like the roots of The Walking Dead, going back to season 1, which obviously is incredible. I really want that as well. And Denai Guerrera, there's been a lot of interviews in the last however many months where she'll be asked about other projects and she'll be very confident in what she can say. And even like with Marvel, she was like, yeah, I have no idea. Like, I don't know where this is going, blah, blah, blah. Like, I hope, I can do more story, this and that. But with The Walking Dead, it's very quiet. Like, she can't answer it. So it just kind of says that there's probably stuff that's happening, but maybe there's just nothing to be announced yet. So we'll have to wait and see. There's been some recent rumors of some stuff, but it looks like the next story for sure is going to be on reuniting other characters. And so it could just be Rick reuniting with Morgan, or maybe with Maggie and Negan on Dead City, and then eventually Daryl and Carol. I feel like Rick and Daryl reuniting is going to be like the very final reunion where you get everybody together. And so how is that going to go? Is that going to be on a new series? Is it going to be a season 12 of The Walking Dead? Like, I have no idea how they're going to do all of that. We'll have to wait and see. But when it comes to, Rick and Michonne's next story, it doesn't seem like it's closed and it's ended and that's it. It seems like The Ones Who Live's ending was more of their family, closure. You sort of got that conclusion there to something that has been told from like years ago, but there's obviously a lot of characters out there. There's a lot of story out there still to tell, and Andrew Lincoln's very open to coming back. The story just has to be as good as The Ones Who Live. So that's where that is. In terms of the other shows right now, Dead City, takes place a couple of years after The Ones Who Live and is actually focused more, I guess, in the New York City area right now, is specifically in Manhattan. And I won't spoil too much there, but basically, the premise of season 1 is Maggie needs Negan's help to go and get Herschel because of the person that took Herschel. His name is the Croat. He knows Negan from the Savior days. And so there's a lot of connections to the Saviors. There's a lot of really great stuff there. And so both Maggie and Negan have to go to New York City to save Herschel. That's the premise. And it goes into some really interesting places. And so yeah, that's really exciting. The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon. Daryl's out trying to find Rick Grimes, but ends up in some trouble at a shipyard, I guess, and then ends up on a ship going to France. He sees some Walker experiments happening there. And then after escaping, he wakes up on the shores of France and then meets a new group. And that's basically it. Carol eventually finds out that he went over there. There's some other things that happen with Carol, and then she goes there. So their stories are continuing on right now. There's some stuff with the endings of those seasons where the story is going to continue, but I just don't want to spoil it too much in case, you haven't watched any of that yet. But that's basically sort of where things are right now. And in terms of the future with everyone reuniting, the other spinoffs are supposed to be like, I think 4 to 5 seasons, maybe 6 seasons. So I think that any sort of reunion with any of them will take another 4 to 5 years for sure. But it doesn't mean you can't do another spinoff in between that, right? So that's sort of where we're looking at it right now. Like, well, you can easily reunite with Morgan and do another story there with, Judith being there with Rick and developing that story a lot more. So there's a lot there. And that's really what's going on with The Walking Dead right now. I think that there will likely be another spinoff, like Fear the Walking Dead, the spinoff that I'm sure everyone heard about, that actually ended a couple of years ago. So that is now over. Everything kind of ended with The Walking Dead, and with Fear the Walking Dead, like it ended this whole story that we've had for a while. But it's starting this new story right now. We're like in this new era where we saw Rick and Michonne finally back in with their family, and all the characters from Fear, sort of had a happy ending. Daryl and Carol are out there doing their own thing right now, Maggie and Negan. I think Dead City specifically right now seems a lot more interesting because of where they're going. So we'll have to wait and see where all that goes here. But that's what's going on with The Walking Dead right now, and if you are new here, definitely make sure to be a subscriber if you want to get all my Walking Dead content like this, because whenever there's any news that comes out, I break everything down. I break every single episode down, trailers, teasers, like everything. I cover absolutely everything for The Walking Dead. I will also be doing The Last of Us, Fallout, and anything that's really like post-apocalyptic, I would say, because it's sort of my favorite genre. So yeah, The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live is now on Netflix. I definitely recommend going to go check it out. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.